Got another kid on loan from a friend here, so we're going to talk about the French national team, seeing as they are playing their quarterfinal against England this Saturday. Those of you with a sharp eye, you'll see there was one star above the badge on this kit for Les Bleus, that being because this kit came before they won their second World Cup and second star in 2018. That 2018 World Cup win, 4-2 over Croatia, would be the halcyon moment of the current generation and current era in the French national team, of which there are truly four fine ones. The first era is the late 50s. At the World Cup in 1958, they finished third, led by Just Fontaine and his 13 goals in the tournament, which is still a record for one edition, as well as finishing fourth at the 1960 Euro competition, which they hosted. After a downturn in fortunes in the 70s, the return to form in the mid-80s was their second era of success and the big one as far as first trophies. Sandwiched between two World Cup semifinal appearances in 82 and 86, they found themselves winners of the Euro tournament in 1984 and the follow-up CONMEBOL UEFA Cup of Champions in 1985, the tournament between the best team in Europe and South America. The French teams of this period were led by four immaculate midfielders, collectively known as the French Magic Square, those being Michel Platini, Jean Tigana, Alain Giresse, and Luis Fernandez. And now I feel like the housekeeper from the Brady Bunch. Their biggest haul of silverware came in their third era at the turn of the century when they won the World Cup in 1998 for the first time, following that by winning the Euro in 2000, and then two Confederations Cups in 2001 and 2003, and then making it to the final of the World Cup in 2006, a match that most people remember for a delicious headbutt by Zinedine Zidane. There's an immense amount of world-class players that played for France during this period, and just to name a few, we'll start with incredible defenders in Lilian Thuram, as well as Marcel Desailly. Further up the pitch in midfield, you can name their captain, as well as current manager Didier Deschamps, as well as Patrick Vieira. And just to name one forward, let's talk about Thierry Henry, who is, of just this week, is their second all-time leading goal scorer. And the absolute cream of the crop from this period, and in my opinion, the greatest French player of all time, would be Zinedine Zidane. His vision for a pass, no less his ability to pull one off at the most important moments in matches, as well as elegant dribbling skills, makes him one of the finest players to ever grace the football pitch. He scored iconic goals for France, as well as probably the most famous goal ever scored in a Champions League final. And after a poor period from 2006 to 2016 that almost nobody in French football wants to talk about, that leads to the current era, where the 2018 World Cup surplants their final run in the Euro in the 2016 version, leading them to this moment in the World Cup where they are one of two favorites to probably win the tournament alongside Brazil. If you've been counting trophies through all of this, you can tell that they have two World Cups, two Euros, and two Confederation Cups. So let's talk about how they fared so far in this World Cup and see what's next for them. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 2 weeks or the last 4 years, you probably know that the main man for France is Kylian Mbappe. He's blessed with blistering pace, he's an incredibly fast player. France used that to great effect, as you'll see from the round of 16 victory against Poland just a couple days ago. He's a center forward, and that's his best position, even though he can drift anywhere across the front line. He's complemented very well by the wingers that France have, and he's an impeccable finisher. Very key to him becoming one of the best players in the world, for which he's really planting his flag at this tournament. He's playing mostly down the left side of the French attack at this point. That's to give space to Olivier Giroud, as of this week, their all-time leading goal scorer at center forward, because he is an impeccable finisher as well, in a different manner from Kylian Mbappe. I expect Mbappe will have a lot more of a fluid role, especially towards the center in the French attack in the coming years, with Giroud as well as Karim Benzema both moving into the tail end of their careers into their 30s. The thing to look to for France in the coming years is to see if they can develop another central forward that can complement Mbappe's style of play in their lineup. Giroud and Benzema currently fit those roles with instinctive finishing on both sides, especially with Giroud's head, as well as link-up play through Giroud and Benzema. I don't yet see who the talent is going to be that's going to fill those positions for France, with the only man coming to mind within that area being Christopher Nkunku of RB Leipzig, although his style is very different from either of these men. France don't rely heavily on an out-and-out attacking midfielder in the way that many other European nations would, but in this tournament, Antoine Griezmann has been performing immaculately in that role. His performance there has been impeccable in many ways, one, going forward, but two, in the amount of times he's tracking back and performing defensively for France as well. And that's really key in many regards, but really important because Paul Pogba, another man who can fill that position, has been ruled out injured in this tournament. I don't find there to be specific depth in that role at this moment because Griezmann and Pogba are both sitting just either side of 30, and another man that can fill that creative attacking role hasn't really emerged yet. Their midfield is young but talented at the moment, with Aurelien Tchouameni being a name I want you to look out for in the next couple matches because he's been great and a little understated at this tournament, springing attacks after winning the ball back in midfield. In defense, their youth and inexperience at an international level is showing through as a strength rather than as a hindrance. The old man of the group is Rafael Varane of Manchester United. He's come back from an injury that ruled him out of the first match to be a very solid partner to either Konate or Upamecano in that center back position. They have even more depth, also young in that position, with Jules Koundé, primarily being a center back, although playing on the right in a couple matches for them, as well as William Saliba from Arsenal, who hasn't yet gotten a go for them or for the national team at large. With their match coming up against England this Saturday, most pundits are talking to you about Kylian Mbappe and his pace, and if England can counter it with their fastest player, and probably the only right back in the world that can keep up with him in Kyle Walker. To go beyond that, the man that I want you to pay attention to this week is also along the French left, that being Theo Hernandez, their left back, and a man with just as much pace as Mbappe, maybe a shade under that, but can also drive with the ball and is going to give fits to the England right if they don't handle him correctly. England are probably already going to have to draw another player over to support Walker with Mbappe, but that's pretty much going to take true effect if Deschamps is less conservative with Theo than he's been all this tournament and pushes him forward to run alongside Mbappe. In net, you'll find Hugo Lloris, their captain, the man you found there for the last 13 years in the national shirt, and this may be his final tournament holding that number 1 shirt, with Mike Maignan, the goalkeeper for AC Milan, coming up right behind him and at a younger age. A little more history on Les Bleus. They have 5 main rivals, 2 of which they won't see at this tournament in Italy and Germany, having already been knocked out. England they'll find this weekend on Saturday, and 2, Brazil and Argentina, one of which they may see in the final. All of that said, an appearance in the final isn't a given for France, with England being a stalwart opponent, as well as probably meeting somebody like Portugal in the semifinal beyond it if they get past England. My final thought here is France is the team to beat alongside Brazil, and with both of them being on either side of the bracket, that does look like a likely final. They're hitting their stride at the right time in this tournament. They've got their one hiccup out of the way with their loss to Tunisia in the 3rd match of the group stage, and they really haven't even hit top gear, which is a frightening thing for a team that is playing so well.